Chapter 9 A Powerful Voice. One day in 1969, Fred traveled to Washington, D.C. to talk to a committee of U.S. senators. At the time, public television received about $20 million per year from the government. President Richard Nixon had suggested cutting the amount in half to save money. That would be a huge loss for public television. Many programs would probably be canceled. It was not up to the president, though. Only Congress had the power to make that decision. Fred was invited to speak to the Senate committee. Maybe he could help save the funding for public television. Fred was good at talking to kids about important issues, but could he work his magic on adults? The senator in charge, John O. Passatori, was a gruff, no-nonsense person. For 2 days, he had already listened to many different people speak. Fred hoped Senator Passatori would want to hear what he had to say, too. A lot depended on it. Fred might have been nervous, but he did not let it show. He spoke about how violence on television worried him. Then he explained how he used his program to help children talk about their feelings. I feel that if we in public television can only make it clear that feelings are mentionable and manageable, we will have done a great service, Fred said. Senator Passatori listened closely. Fred's words were having a big effect on him. "I'm supposed to be a pretty tough guy," he said. "And this is the first time I've had goosebumps for the last 2 days." When Fred finished speaking, the senator said, "I think it's wonderful. Looks like you just earned the $20 million. Fred sat back in his chair and smiled. He was so relieved. He'd only talked to the committee for a few minutes, but it had been worth it. Now there would be enough money for him to keep making his program. Fred believed he was doing important work on the neighborhood. He was teaching lessons that would help kids become happy people. Sometimes they were very small lessons that didn't need much explaining. Once on the show, he had buttoned his sweater wrong, and it came out crooked. Rather than shout, "Cut!" and start over, Fred just laughed and fixed it on camera. Mistakes were part of life, and so was fixing them. The most important lesson was making sure kids understood that they did not have to do anything special in order to be special. That came just by being themselves. When he was asked why he devoted his life to children, Fred answered, "Well, the children become adults." He meant that when children grew up, they would remember their experiences from childhood. The things they learned as kids would determine how they acted as adults. Fred wanted to be sure he was sending positive messages to children in his audience.